You're listening to the Straight to Video podcast with Rob Lane.
What's up, everyone? Long time no speak, but the Straight to Video podcast is back with another episode, and I'm stoked you chose to listen. I kind of drop these episodes sporadically these days, always on a Friday, but not as regular as I used to do. Everyone is so busy these days, and myself included, so I want to make sure every episode you hear is a lot of fun and worth the wait, and today's is no different. It was a ton of fun to check back in with the wonderful Linus Dotson, or Linus of Hollywood as he's sometimes known. Linus has been someone who I've looked up to and got to know over the past 10 plus years, and he's one of the good guys, an amazing musician, songwriter, producer, who you might have seen as part of the pop punk band Size 14 back in the day. He's been an essential part of everyone's favourite band Bowling for Soup over the years as co-writer and producer, along with half of the band Uranus, whilst today, along with still producing, he's also the guitarist for Nerf Herder and half of the electro pop duo Able Machines. The guy has a lot going on, and in just a few weeks he'll be heading to the UK for some shows with Nerf Herder, along with his own solo show at the West Hampstead Arts Club in London on Saturday the 26th of July, which I'm looking forward to attending. We caught up on all of what's been happening in his world since he was last on the podcast some 4 years ago, along with, of course, some obligatory hair metal chats, so I really hope you enjoy the talk. Best place to keep up to date or reach out to Linus is through Instagram at Linus Dotson, which has links to all his other projects, and be sure to check out Able Machines wherever you get your music. But right now, sit back and enjoy my straight-to-video chat with the awesome Linus Dotson.
Yo!
How's it going?
I'm a little early. Sorry. I basically just got in early because every time I do these Zoom things, I have some weird technical issue. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get on early and make sure everything's working. And of course, it works.
Everything seems fine.
Totally fine. But now I'm 10 minutes early.
I think last time we spoke, we had cat trouble. One of the cats got caught behind the...
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, she's sleeping on my keyboard right now.
Our little dog's downstairs somewhere. He's getting really old.
Oh, no. How old?
He's 15.
Oh, 15. Yeah, Louis is 13.
Wow, that's crazy.
I had a terrible dream last night that me and Tay were filming a video and we had the dogs and like Louis wandered off and I couldn't find him. And so I was like, my whole night in my dream, I was like calling all the shelters and panicking like, oh no, I love it. And then when I woke up, he was like laying at my feet and I was like, oh, he's still there. It was such a stressful dream.
Who looks after Louis whilst you're away?
So Kai from Army of Freshmen. So his family literally begs me to watch the dogs when I'm away because they have a daughter. The daughter loves the dogs. They don't want to get a dog, but like it's their way of having pets without committing to it or whatever.
It's like our people who don't have kids say, I like kids, but I like to give them back.
Exactly. I think that's their philosophy too with the dogs. So they watched them last time I went away, and then I'm going to, when I come to London, they're going to watch them again. And then sometimes my bandmate Tay watches them, and Diane. And I've got kind of a big crew of people that community. We all like. I'm actually going to Diane's later today to feed her dogs because she's at Disneyland.
How far away is she from you now? She's moved out to the West Coast.
Yeah, she's super close. Yeah, she moved to LA and like literally lives in my neighborhood, so I see them all the time.
Oh wow, send her our love because I miss seeing them.
Yeah, they're awesome. How are you, man?
I'm good, mate. I'm really good. Great to see you. But yeah, everything's great. Time's just moving way too fast.
I'm telling you, man, it is crazy.
Are you as busy as ever?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, my main focus right now is Able Machines, just trying to grow that, put out new music. And, it's having a band in 2025 is a challenge because I feel like everyone's in a band now and everyone's running Facebook ads and everyone's doing content and you know what I mean? And it's just like...
Oh, it's become a horrible word, content.
We actually kind of like doing it, but like at some point you're like, are we a band or are we just like content creators?
Yeah. I think it's the way you approach it really, because I spoke to a friend of mine in a band and I just hate that thing, I've got to create content. But she said like she looked at it as, this is my own TV channel. I can do whatever I want on it.
Totally. Yeah. We like doing like videos and stuff like that. And we've gotten pretty good at just like doing guerrilla. Like she'll come over and we'll just like walk around my neighborhood and we'll film 4 or 5 different things. And then that lasts us, a week or 2 or whatever. So it's okay if you like it. We try to be authentic with it. So that helps too. Like, cause if you are doing stupid stuff stuff, doing TikTok dances and things that you wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, so I listened back to our first podcast together, which was, scarily, back in September 2020.
Oh, wow.
I know, it's nuts. It was a lot of fun, but it was quite upsetting for me because I seem to have got worse since then. I think I had much more time to prep back then in the middle of lockdown and stuff. But unlike today, we just kind of roll with it. But there's a lot of fun stuff, which I think people should go back and check out if they want to learn about your early journey from Florida to California. We chatted about you getting into heavy metal through meeting your friend Marshall on the beach.
Oh, yeah.
One thing I don't think we mentioned back then, though, was where you used to buy albums from. Was there any like cool record shops you'd regularly go to?
Oh, wow. So, yeah, when I was growing up in Florida, so my dad was military. So a lot of times I would go to it was called the PBX, and it was like the military mall or whatever. And they actually didn't have a really good selection, but when they did have an album, it was really cheap. Like it was like $6 or something like that. So like if there was a big album, like the new Dio album or Iron Maiden or Judas Priest or whatever, I could get it there cheap. Although my father did not like me spending my allowance on albums. So I would literally sneak albums into my house. I would go buy them and I'd put them under my shirt. The corners of the album are like making it look like I have little album boobies, you know? And so I'm like sneaking back to my bedroom. And I remember my dad came back to my bedroom one day and I had like hundreds of albums. And he's like, where did you get all these? And I think I actually blamed it on my friend Marshall. I'm like, oh, Marshall gave me these.
Did you ever go into like the bargain bins with like the cutout ones? Because I got so many great albums.
Well, they didn't have it there, but there was another place that I liked. It was called like, I think it was called Play It Again, Sam. This was in like Melbourne, Florida. And that place was awesome because they had used CDs. They had a lot of promos, cutouts, stuff like that. And then they had like a CD Discman and a record player so you could listen to stuff. So I would just go in there and I would see a cover that looked cool. And I'd be like, what's this? And that's how I discovered Delamitri, actually. The Change Everything record was in there. And they kind of fooled me because they all had long hair and they looked like a hard rock band or something. So I put the CD on. I'm like, this is actually really good. It's not like what I thought it was going to be, but it's great. And that's where I discovered them, just from the cover, you know?
Nice. Oh, so many great songs on that album.
Oh, yeah, so good. Have you ever looked at an album cover and said, like, I want to listen to this just based on the cover? I remember when Metallica came out, I was very young, and Kill 'Em All had come out, and I just thought that cover was just so heavy and evil looking, and I was like, I got to hear this. And my friends, like, we lived in a small town, and so we would mispronounce everything. So, like, I had a friend that called them Metallica. My other friend, he discovered a band called Queen Screech.
Metallica sounds like some new like Facebook thing or something nowadays.
I know, no. So we would just walk around calling these bands the wrong thing until someone told us otherwise.
Oh, so good. Was you a regular in the famous and now long gone Tower Records on Sunset when you moved to Hollywood?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. I remember Weezer put out Pinkerton and they did a concert in the parking lot of the Tower Records. So that was a cool memory.
Has any footage surfaced of that?
Oh, I don't know. I wish there was. That's the problem with the 90s. Like, you know, I was in that band Size 14. We did a whole national tour and there's like no footage of it anywhere. Like now you live in an era where Nerf Herder, we go play a show and we go on YouTube and 3 people have already posted the entire show, you know? So I wish that would have existed, but no, I've never seen footage of it. That would have been super cool. And then I remember Brian Wilson did a record signing there. So I had him sign my copy of Beach Boys' Friends. And I used to go, so records used to come out on Tuesday night. I don't know if that's how it was in the UK. No, they come out Tuesday day.
There's Mondays in the UK.
Yeah, so you would stand in line on Monday night at midnight and stuff would come out. So either at Tower or the Virgin Megastore. And I remember standing in line for like the new Cardigans album and stuff like that. But I used to go every Tuesday to Tower Records and I would just listen to all the listening stations, you know? Everything was very well curated. So maybe like 15 or 20 new albums that you could like walk around listening to. And now it's just overwhelming because Spotify and people put out an album and you sort of forget to listen to it or you get distracted and listen to something else.
I've mentioned this dozens of times on this podcast. You've got those memories now of queuing up at Tower Records, waiting for that album, but you can't remember when you clicked play on Spotify.
I know. Well, I've sort of carried that with me. I mean, I'm a big fan of if I have some time off is I go to the record store and I go dig through the crates, whatever. My favorite thing to do now is just take bands that, usually from like the late 70s or early 80s, where I know a few of their songs, but I never listened to their albums. You know what I mean? Even like Foreigner or the Eagles or whatever. I will just like get one album and all week I'll listen to the album, because that's what you used to do when you were a kid. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you put it on at first and you're like, whatever, but you sort of digest it and you listen to it. You look at the cover art, you see who produced it. Oh, wow, I didn't know that. You know what I mean?
What special guest backing singers there is doing the backing vocals and stuff. That was always a cool thing if you found out there's somebody you recognized doing backing vocals.
Yeah, it's almost always Michael McDonald.
Yeah, there's that. But saying that, though, bands where you know a few songs from. We were driving to a show last week, and Tom, the drummer, he had his Spotify just on a shuffle. And I was like, who is this? This is amazing. It was like a proper late 80s hard rock song. I was like, I recognized the voice. It sounded, I don't know if you remember a guy called Mitch Malloy. I thought it was Mitch Malloy. It turned out it was a Starship album, like 88, 89. I was like, this is great. And I only know a couple of Starship songs.
Oh, yeah. Actually, you've inspired me. Maybe maybe that's my next trip. I remember I saw that singer guy. He was like solo, and I saw him at the club where I used to go see all the hair metal bands. And man, his voice was insane. He was like hitting the highest notes possible. He had like no tension on his face. He was just like, like, how does he do that?
It's a whole different world nowadays, both with like record stores and actually probably Hollywood where you live. The Tower Records long gone. How are things out there now? Is it still more hotels popping up? Is there anywhere new you like to visit or get away from everywhere when not recording?
So at the beginning of the pandemic, I ended up moving over to the east side of LA. I live in a kind of an up and coming area of town called Frogtown. It's sort of by Dodger Stadium, but it's adjacent to like Silver Lake and Highland Park and all that.
Any connection to like the old Roddy Piper movie, Hell Comes to Frogtown?
Oh, I didn't even know about that movie. I'm sure it might be related, actually, because it's sort of a famous part of LA.
Is it a twist on Dogtown?
Well, the reason it's called Frogtown is because I guess in the 20s or 30s, it's right by the LA River. And before they built concrete around the LA River flooded. So there were frogs everywhere. So that's why they named it Frogtown. But there was like a really notorious gang in the 80s and 90s called Frogtown. It was like Toonerville or something like that. So like there still is a gang where I live, but they don't bother me. They asked me about my chihuahuas one day when I was walking my dog. So that was nice. But but there's all these really cool record stores over here popping up. Just really great used vinyl stores. And so just about every day I get a coffee and I go see what popped up at the record store. And the turnover is really high. So you could literally go every day and there's like different stuff there. I found some crazy things there. I found Rock's Gang on vinyl the other day and I literally screamed like a schoolgirl. I was like, couldn't believe it. And of course, they're trying to get rid of it because they're like, what the hell is this? And I'm just like, this is gold.
So how far is that away from like the main Hollywood area?
From where I live now, I can get pretty much anywhere in 20 minutes. So I can get to Hollywood in 20 minutes. My mailbox is still over there. So I drive there every Friday to go pick up my mail.
Love it, man. I've not even heard of Frogtown.
Yeah, it's cool. Next time you come out, we'll go on a record journey. And the vibe is just really cool over here. I mean, I love Hollywood, but it is getting weird. They're tearing down all the cool vibey stuff and they're just building these like, they call it mixed use. So there's like retail on the bottom and then all these like condos or apartments, but like no one can afford the apartments. So they just like sit there empty. They don't look cool. And so it's kind of a bummer, actually.
Your electro pop project, Able Machines, which you say is like one of your main focuses now, you continue to be as prolific as ever. You've had a couple of full-length albums. Your song Narcissist is over 1 million plays on Spotify, which is amazing. What I did hear you mention on another podcast is that whilst many people are against streaming platforms and how much they pay, you said you earn more now as an indie artist through streaming than you ever did while signed to a major. Where are people getting it wrong, the wrong end of things, do you think? I know it would be great if they paid a lot more.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times when, back in the major label days, most bands, even bands that had a hit, would still never make money off their record sales. The record label would make the money, but the bands usually weren't recouped. There's a funny story about like Sugar Ray when they had the song Fly and it was like #1 and Mark McGrath is like calling his dad to borrow money and his dad is like, you have a #1 song and he's like, well, I'm not getting any money from it because my first album is unrecouped and all this kind of stuff. And like our friends Bowling for Soup, obviously they put out 3 or 4 albums before they had a hit. And so from what I understand, they make most of their money off of concert sales and t-shirt and merch and stuff like that. So Spotify obviously is, they're not paying people what they should pay. But I have to say, considering, like, for instance, Able Machines, it's a new band. So we make all the music in my house. We make our videos here, whatever. And we're able to just put it up on Spotify and reach all these people because of the Spotify algorithm. The reason we have over 1 million streams on Narcissist is because it just somehow got sucked into the Spotify algorithm and it starts feeding it to people all over the world. And then we end up getting fans and growing. And, when I was in Size 14, our record label spent probably $750,000 like promoting us. We ended up selling like maybe a few thousand records or something. You know what I mean? And then they kind of messed up. They didn't have the records in certain markets where we were getting radio play and all this kind of stuff. So now it's pretty crazy that we can put up a song on Spotify with no real like promotion budget or anything like that, and it gets over 1 million streams. It's kind of crazy. I mean, 1 million streams only ends up being like $3,000 or $4,000, but that's $3,000 or $4,000 more than I made when I was on a major label.
And they used to throw so much money at videos back in the day as well.
Oh yeah, and we're doing those for free too. So, I'm definitely not praising the Spotify business model because I think it could be a lot better. And other platforms like Amazon even and YouTube are paying a lot more than Spotify is to the artists. But there's a reason why when you see an artist online bitching about Spotify and then you go look and their music is still on there, you have to go, why is your music still on there? You have to admit there's some value to having it on there, right? Like that's beyond money. There's a value to having your music there. And if you can gain a bunch of fans and followers and go out and play real life shows and make money off ticket sales and t-shirts, all that kind of stuff, that's how you make your money these days. But even back in the major label days, that's how bands made their money. Unless you were on the level of like Backstreet Boys, Eminem, or something like that, most of the hard rock bands that you and I love, they weren't making any money off their record sales. They were just either breaking even or not even. They were making all their money off touring and merch. So
if only we knew that back in the day. We never knew that. It's like we're looking at these guys like,
I know.
They've got the mansions in Hollywood somewhere. So unless you like Bret Michaels or CC DeVille, most of them were still probably living with the parents.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first moved out to LA in '94, my first job was a telemarketing job, and half the people at my telemarketing job were dudes whose CDs I had when I was growing up. And I'm just like, wait a minute, because I think people just assume when you get a record deal, they just give you all this money, but that's not really what happens at all. Like you might be able to go buy a new guitar or something.
It's crazy. How does the digital aspect of things compare to, say, Nerf Herder, who are more of a traditional write, record, tour band? I guess Parry has seen both sides with his success writing kids jingles, like Raining Tacos. I had a look today, over 25 million streams.
Yeah, it's crazy. He makes real money off streaming, like a lot of money. It's kind of crazy. For Nerf Herder, I think most of our fans are a little more old school, but we do really well when we just do our little weekend shows or whatever, and we end up selling a bunch of merch, and it's enough to pay 4 guys to go out of town for a weekend, and we end up having fun, and we make a little bit of money, and it's cool. I mean, at this point, we're just sort of doing Nerf Herder for fun, but Perry's making some bank on that Raining Tacos.
Crazy. I did particularly love your Able Machines version of No Rain by Blind Melon. That blew me away, how you approached that. Was that a fun one to create?
Yeah, it was super fun. That's actually a song that Tay and I would never have chosen to cover. We had a Patreon and people were just requesting songs that they wanted to hear us cover. And really all we were going to do is just do like one of our little stripped down live covers. But of course, I can't help myself when I start working on a song and I just keep producing it and all that kind of stuff. So we put that out a few years ago and people liked it. So we ended up releasing it as a proper single recently. And yes, it's kind of fun to sort of reimagine songs and sort of make them sound like Able Machines-ish.
Was that a big single for you in the early 90s? Were they a band or song you could get into? Or because they were kind of like this odd band that came out around that time.
It was a song that I definitely heard on the radio. It was a huge hit in America, but not anything that was like on my direct radar. It wasn't a record that I bought, but it just seemed to work. When we started doing it, we're like, oh, this is actually pretty cool.
Your videos are great. So was there any talk of doing like a Blind Melon video twist with the Bumblebee? I know Tay did it for like a photo shoot.
Oh, yeah. We discussed it. There's just only so many, like we almost do videos for every single song, but the covers we kind of haven't done as much for unless the cover ends up on our album. Like we did a cover of Where Is My Mind? And that's actually like one of our bigger songs. So that one we did a video for, but the Bumblebee thing would be pretty funny though. It'd be funny if I was in Bumblebee.
Yeah, there we go. I'm setting a seed now, putting it out there. So I will put you on the spot though. Are there any rock videos from back in the day that had like a huge effect on you, which you couldn't wait to see on MTV? Because it was literally just waiting for it to roll again, probably in like a 2-hour circle.
Oh man, well I was a huge Headbangers Ball person, so like, I would tape Headbangers Ball and watch it all week basically. So yeah, there was a couple of videos. Like I remember when Youth Gone Wild by Skid Row came out, that was like, holy shit, this is amazing. I watched that a million times. I remember one time I was eating my breakfast and Wait by White Lion came on, that sort of black and white video, and I was just like, this is amazing. All that stuff, man. I used to watch those videos just over and over again.
I think a lot of Headbangers Ball, like full episodes are on YouTube, which is really cool to watch because they have like guest presenters on them, like a band will present entire episode and it's so cheesy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's like Bullet Boys presenting Headbangers Ball, which is, it's horrible, but it's brilliant at the same time. It's so good.
Definitely a moment in time. How about you? Is there any videos that you remember that you just like watched all the time?
For me, it's that I think everyone has that kind of go-to time, which the music they really love. And we mentioned it in the last episode. Like my favorite time from it all was 90 to 92. I think all the bands put out some of their best stuff during that time before it all imploded. So I used to love all the Slaughter videos and Warrant videos and things like that. And I've got a real soft spot for, I didn't like the song when it first came out, but Slaughter did that song, Shout It Out from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. And the video is so good where the trucks are going through the desert and they just set up and get all these girls come and they're all drinking beers. And I just love that video. I think it's wicked. Because they were all kind of dressed down a little bit at that point.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, oh, it's kind of achievable, that look. I never did look as cool as Blas Elias or anything like that, but just the way they dressed was just like really on point for me. So I always love that video. I think it's great.
Yeah, there's that whole thing about like hair metal died because it was getting too generic and they were doing the same thing over and over again. But I agree with you. There were some bands that came out right at the end, like 90 to 92, that I wish like I could have heard more from. Do you know what I mean? Like that band Spread Eagle. Do you know that band?
They're still going. They still come to the UK. They do.
Yeah, they're playing a lot now. They've come through a couple times. I need to go see them. But that first Spread Eagle album was so amazing and just so raw and like it still sounds good. You know what I mean? It's like a timeless classic. And then Vain, No Respect album was so great. And they put out more stuff. But I think when Nirvana came along, even those cool bands tried to sort of do something a little different.
They were really chasing it.
Yeah.
I think Warrant had a good go at changing their sound. Some of their first albums from that, or they did the Dog Eat Dog album, which was a lot heavier. But then like Ultraphobic and Belly to Belly, they're really good albums. But I think that's testament to Janie's songwriting, however he presented it.
Yeah, he was so good. And then there was like some really cool glam, real glam coming out. There was a band from New York called Star Star. And then there was like a band called The Bang Gang. They were referencing more of actual glam, like Sweet and stuff like that. And I would have liked to hear more of that too. You know what I mean? Because it was starting to get really cool and sleazy. And like, I loved all the sleaze rock stuff. Like Rocks Gang. I mean, I saw them in Florida when I was a kid and it was like the coolest fucking thing. It was just so like dirty and sleazy and it was just so great, man. I'm so glad that I got to experience that era because not to sound like a boomer, but kids today will never know what it's like to just walk into like a club and it smells like Aquanet and there's ice fog everywhere and, you know, band comes on stage and you know what I mean? It's just like they're literally playing the club like it's Madison Square Garden or something.
And this is like a new band at the time. It's not someone doing a throwback thing or anything like that. It's a new band, so you're super excited. Yeah, it's a whole different level. But did you see the lineup though for the Rainbow Bar and Grill Backyard Bash in August? Have you seen it?
Oh yeah, totally. There's always a band or two and I'm just like, huh? And then there's a band or two that I'm like, I really want to see and all that kind of stuff.
This one's a good one in August. It's Winger, Bullet Boys, Trickster and Killer Dwarfs.
Yeah.
I'm almost tempted to come over for that. It's like see if we get a cheap ticket.
Come on out, man. It's a fun thing. Just to definitely bring your sunblock. I always get sunburned when I go to those things.
We are going to be returning to the UK very soon with Nerf Herder at the end of July and also a solo show in London. You looking forward to getting back over?
Yeah, it should be super fun. I ended up booking a solo show selfishly because I really wanted to extend my London trip so I could see the ABBA Voyage show. So I'm like, how can I stay more? And so I figured I'd book a solo show and I could finally see it.
Mate, that's going to be a big deal for you though, right? That ABBA Voyage.
Yeah, I think it'll be really cool. I have some friends that have seen it that aren't even ABBA fans and they're just like, it's really cool. And like they felt emotional when they saw it.
Could you get a little teary-eyed, do you think?
I probably will, yeah, because I never got to see them. Because I'm like right at the age where I was sort of slightly too young when they were actually out. But I do remember hearing them on the radio when I was a kid and stuff.
What was it that inspired you to like really deep dive into it? Was it when you was kind of searching for different music later on in your career?
Well, I've always liked them, but I actually can't remember when I started like delving super deep into them. It was probably like 15 or 20 years ago. just the production and even the visual stuff. Like I do photography too. And so like I'm sort of influenced by that 70s Blondie, ABBA, like that kind of aesthetic. You know what I mean? All the pictures that Chris Stein took of Blondie, you know, in the 70s are just so cool. And so it's just some sort of coupling with the visuals of ABBA, and the production is amazing, and the songwriting. And yeah, they're also like a little cheesy, but that's kind of like part of what I like too. You know what I mean? Slightly cartoonish or whatever. So, but yeah, I think it'll be really cool.
You're going to be on your own? Is it a solo trip?
Do you know Matt Stocks?
Oh, Matt's going to be going. Oh, wicked. Yeah, Matt's Hayes.
Yeah. So he helped me book that show because his friend owns the venue or whatever.
Oh, man.
So yeah, so he's going to come too. And I ended up just buying tickets like on the dance floor or whatever. So if you want to come, you're certainly welcome to join. Anybody that wants to come, anybody listening right now, if you want to come see ABBA Voyage with us, just hit me up on Instagram. We'll all put it together.
Brilliant stuff. We mentioned earlier you're a big Delamitri fan. Was the UK music scene as a whole something you gravitated to during like the 90s and 2000s? Because I know you've got like a direct connection to, let's say, one of our big exports in the Charlatans and Tim Burgess, who you've worked with in the past. So was you watching that old Britpop thing during that time? Was it on your radar much?
Yeah, I was a huge fan of Blur. I love Blur. I love Travis and Stereophonics and like that whole 90s thing. Oasis, I love the first Oasis album. And then I think I sort of got turned off by their persona. And I was like, these guys are kind of dicks. Now I find them really funny. I really enjoy their whole persona. But for some reason, back when they first came out, I was just like, these guys are too arrogant or whatever.
They kind of do it now with like a nudge and a wink sort of thing. There's like a real comedy value to it.
Yeah, I think they're hilarious now. I think it's super funny. And they actually seem like good dudes. They're just sort of doing a bit. But yeah, I loved Blur. You know, if I had to pick a side in the war, I would definitely pick Blur because they were just so like diverse. You know what I mean? They were kind of like the Beatles. They had some songs that were like dancey and some songs that sound like David Bowie. And Oasis, like I really like, but they kind of just do the one thing.
Yeah, they had their blueprint and kind of stuck to it.
The Delamitri thing was just totally random. I just found them in that record store. I was still a metalhead when I found that record. That was probably early 90s when I discovered that record. And just throughout all my musical changes that I've gone through, because you know, how many years ago was that? 30 years ago or something? I just have always loved them the most. And they keep putting out new music that I love. And the singer, Justin Curry, his solo albums are great. He's got a book coming out, which I'm excited to read. And I think he's great.
What was the Charlatans thing? How did that kind of get on your radar?
The Charlatans thing was totally random. So even though I was a big fan of Britpop, the Charlatans weren't ever really on my radar other than just seeing them on 120 Minutes on MTV. That was, I had a producer manager for a while, and he managed Tim, the singer, and he just put us together. Tim was looking to do a solo album. And so we met at this bar in Hollywood called the Cat and Fiddle, like a 4:00 meeting. And we were sitting there and it was kind of awkward or whatever. At first, he was like, you know, do you mind if I get a drink real quick? And I'm like, I'd like a drink too. And then so we ended up like getting really drunk and then So we just bonded on being total drunks and then decided he wanted to do the record with me. And it was really funny because I had just started producing other artists and I was still recording in my bedroom. Like I would go pick him up. He lived in the Hollywood Hills.
Oh, he was living out here, was he?
Yeah, he had an American wife at the time and had a house up in the hills, but he didn't have a driver's license. So I would be driving up to the Hollywood Hills in my shitty car to go pick up this rock star. And then I would drive him back down. And my studio was literally like in a 1-bedroom apartment. I had one microphone. This is it right here, actually. This is the one microphone that I had. It's a Beta 57. So he would sit on the edge of my bed. You know, I mean, it was like, I'm actually surprised in hindsight that he was up for that because this is a guy who sells out stadiums in England and stuff. And here's this kid making his record on this 8-track, basically.
It'd probably been in Abbey Road or something at some point.
Yeah, totally. But he was down for it. So we would he would come over, we would write some songs, we would do some tracking, then we would walk to Ruffalo's Pizza on the corner of La Brea and Hollywood, and we'd order a pitcher of beer and a medium pizza. We'd get super hammered. And I'm surprised we even got the record done because we literally got drunk every day. But it's a really cool record. Like it has horns and strings and just like it's pretty cool. And he got a hit off of it and yeah, it was fun. And then I ended up co-writing a Charlatan song that was a #1 in England too. So that was a cool experience.
So what can we expect from your solo show? Will it be a mix of everything you've done or are you still figuring that out?
Well, I actually am going to do a mix. I haven't really ever done that. I've always tried to keep everything really separate. So like when I do a Linus of Hollywood show, sometimes I'll play like, you know, a size 14 song or something. But for the most part, I try to keep it my 60s pop kind of stuff. But I think I'm going to do more of a a Butch Walker kind of vibe where, you know how he just kind of plays everything, you know what I mean? Because I've written all these cool songs for other people and stuff. And so I think when I do the London show, I'm going to sort of try out, you know, play a Nerf Herder song, play a Bowling for Soup song, play, you know, just like a hodgepodge of stuff that I've done in my career.
Would any Durinus creep in there, do you think, or do you need Jarrett there?
Yeah, I would feel weird doing it without Jared, I think. But it would be fun because like some of the Bowling for Soup stuff would be interesting to sing. You know what I mean? Because I'm so used to hearing it with Jared's voice. And even Able Machines, like there's a couple songs that translate really well on acoustic, so I could play that and sing it or whatever. So I'm going to try it out, keep it loose. I think some friends of mine are going to be in town, so I might have people pop up and do some songs. Like Scott Simons, I think, is coming out. Perry from Nerf Herder might come up and do a song. And...
Are you still in touch with, because you're friends with Jez Hashurst, right?
Oh, yeah. He's actually, I might actually be using his guitar. I was like, hey, do you have an acoustic I can borrow for the show? But I asked him if he'd come up and do a song with me too.
Last time I saw Jez was actually at a Butch Walker show in London at the Borderline, which is no longer there anymore. So I've got your show in the diary, so I'm going to try and persuade Jane to have a ride down with me.
Sweet. If you want to get up and do a song, man, we can just come on up. We can be like, got a picture of your house.
Be careful, I might take you up on that one.
Oh, I'll do it.
So quickly, are you still in touch with Paul Gilbert? Did you get to catch Mr. Big on their last shows at all?
I did. I actually went to the Mr. Big show when they came through. They played in Beverly Hills. So I actually took Tay from Able Machines and we went backstage, said hi, whatever. But it was like kind of a clusterfuck because all the LA people were out trying to say hi too. But he lives in Portland now, so I don't get to see him as much as I'd like to. We email back and forth every now and then, usually like, hey, do you know a mixer or, you know, like whatever business kind of stuff. I hang out with his sister all the time. His sister lives in LA. She kind of hops around and does random stuff, but I always go hiking with her and she's very cool.
How was the show? Was it good?
It was super cool. Yeah, it was cool to see. It was fun. I wrote some songs on one of their more recent albums. There was a song called Undertow that ended up charting.
That was a single, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a single and that ended up charting. And so I was really excited that they would play, but they didn't play it in LA. And I was like, damn it. Other people that saw the tour said that they played it. So that was cool.
That was like a pretty well-known one.
Yeah, it ended up doing really well.
Right, to bring things to a close, I want you to time travel a little to a Friday night in the late 80s or early 90s. Now, I don't know if this would be a military thing then, or if you had like a video store on the military base or anything like that.
Oh, yeah, there were video stores, yeah.
Yeah, you head into the video store. What movie soundtrack would you have on your Walkman, and what 3 tapes would you rent for the weekend?
Well, I'm a sucker for a movie that has a montage. There's like a bully, and then the main character has to like work out and train for the final event, and then he finally wins and gets the girl. So one of my favorite all-time movies, if you can see my tattoo, is Karate Kid. That's probably my number one. The original Karate Kid, not the Will Smith one. But my favorite soundtrack, in keeping with that theme, would probably be Vision Quest. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, it's Matthew Modine.
Yes. So that was like the wrestling version of Karate Kid, but the soundtrack was amazing. It had Only the Young by Journey. It had Change by John Waite. People talking and they're saying that you're leaving. John Waite's like one of my favorite singers of all time. Like, I love his voice so much.
Is that a band you've deep dived into, like the Babies?
The Babies was a recent one, actually. I only knew the hits, and I went to my local record store, and they literally had every single Babies album. Each one was like $2 or $3. So I bought them all on one. They were like mint, too. So I bought them all in one day and I just like fanned them out like a deck of cards. I'm like, I have them all. I like the newest ones the best. When they got Jonathan Cain in the band and the last 2 albums, they were like the most poppy ones. It's probably the opposite of what most Babies fans like, but I like the really poppy ones. But anyway, so yeah, it has Change. It has Hungry for Heaven by Dio. I mean, it's an amazing soundtrack.
Well, isn't that the one with Crazy for You by Madonna on it?
Yes, it has Crazy for You. It has some other song that's like really heavy. And you're like, wow, that's cool. Oh, it has a Sammy Hagar song, I'll Fall in Love Again. It's a really good song.
Insane.
Yeah, it's a great soundtrack. It's like the best. So that would be my soundtrack. I would say the movies, Karate Kid, Vision Quest, and then maybe some other movie like My Bodyguard or do you remember that movie?
No, what's that one?
There was a movie called My Bodyguard and it was the same thing. It was like this nerdy kid and he was getting bullied in school and then he befriends this gigantic dude and the dude like kicks the bully's ass. My favorite theme is the training montage.
I think Rocky IV is my go-to soundtrack. Well, Rocky IV in itself, I think we figured out there's 3 montages in Rocky IV. Oh,
wow.
One of them is like the Robert Tepper song.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It plays the whole song from start to finish.
There's no easy way out. Yeah. That one.
You've got like 4 minutes of the film gone right there. And I think there's another 2 montages in there.
Was Rocky IV the Russian one that I Would Break You?
Yeah. What was the video store like then, which you used to go to?
It was like just a crusty, it was sort of like the record store I used to go to. It was just like, it definitely was not a Blockbuster. It was like a mom and pop. Everything was really dingy. And
did they have an adult section at the back?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you had to go through the little curtain. Yeah.
I love it. Linus, thank you for chatting with me, mate. It's great to see you again.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
What you got planned for the rest of the day? Anything exciting?
Just working. Tay's coming over and we're recording Able Machines, and then we got to rehearse. We have a show in LA on Saturday.
Oh, you're doing a Missing Persons gig, right? Later this year?
Yeah, we're opening up for Missing Persons. That's in September, actually, in San Francisco. But we have a gig in LA this Saturday, so.
Missing Persons, a band which were like big for you. The one which I keep diving into every now and again. Like, oh, this sounds so cool.
Well, that's another band where I loved their singles, but I never had their actual record. And so this week I've been driving around listening to that Spring Session M. It's such a cool record, man. The drums on that record are insane. And this is a little added bonus that I'm very excited about. The bass player right now for Missing Persons is Prescott Niles from The Knack.
Wow.
And The Knack is one of my all-time favorite bands. So I'm going to have to really control myself when we play with them. I'm going to be like, oh, I love you.
Amazing. Mate, well, you enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks ever so much for chatting with me.
All right, man. Take care. Love to Jane and the doggy.
Absolutely, mate. You take care. Big shout out and thank you to Linus Dotson for joining me once again right here on the Straight to Video podcast. Always great to hear from him, and I look forward to his solo show in London on Saturday the 26th of July. Ticket link and all other information about Linus can be found at his Instagram, which is simply @LinusDotson, and drop him a line, tell him you heard about him right here on this show. So lots and lots of stuff has been happening at our 80s video shop in Alverton, Derbyshire over the past few weeks. Tons of fun events and more in the coming weeks, with our 3rd birthday party just around the corner on Saturday, July the 19th, which will see Paul Blake, who played Greedo in the original 1977 Star Wars, coming along to meet fans and sign autographs. The event will run from midday till 4 p.m, so hope some of you can come along. We have a whole bunch of other stuff in the works too. There's always something happening, so please keep up to date on all the social media pages just by searching at 80s Video Shop, and really hope to see you come pay us a visit. So that's all for this episode of the show. As always, I really do appreciate you listening and for the ongoing support. So until we chat again, make sure to always be kind, please rewind and unwind, and I'll speak to you all real soon.